We'll get started with Kevin Durant versus Curry debate. Who want to go first?
Bobby, go first.
All right. So I think KD was better, bro. He won the two Finals MVPs, but if you look at his numbers, he shot as good as Steph. He's not as good of a shooter, but and he was more impactful defensively. I just think when he was rim protecting, he was guarding LeBron a couple times. All that in consideration, I think KD was more impactful as a player overall. That's why I'll take KD.
Okay, that's interesting for sure. Um, so when do you think KD's peak was?
2017.
2017. Okay.
Yeah. He was at his best defensively. He was at his best rim protection. He was probably the most efficient, I'm pretty sure. I've looked at it a couple times. And I think he was the best player in the finals on that team. So
Gotcha. Well, I think if we're gonna base it off for 1 year, 2016 Steph is way better than Kevin Durant. Like it's not even a question. Other than the finals, I mean, his regular season, unanimous MVP, best shooter of all time, 50, 40, 90. I mean, that's some GOAT debate type stuff right there.
that was unbelievable season, 50, 45, 90. But I think, obviously, like you just said, he faltered in the finals, lost the 3-1 lead. KD didn't do that. I will give you that. That same year, he beat KD 3-1, in the round before. I get that. But, like you said, we're basing off of two different years. They weren't on the same team at the time. I think Steph's defense, again, wasn't as impactful because I'm looking at it from both sides of the court. You got to be able to guard up and score like that. Steph just isn't that great of a defender. You could say that's his size or whatever, but I think KD's just a better player at that time.
I can see that for sure, but it's like since they're on the same team when KD was at his peak, it's like you're not really guarding Steph the way you're guarding KD. Like with Steph, he's running around screen, he's everywhere on the court. KD, he's in one spot waiting for the ball, and then Steph is getting double teamed in the corner. Like you gotta guard him differently than KD.
All right, I'll give you that. Steph creates the most space in the NBA that we've probably seen in the last 12 years. But I'll give you this. KD attracts more attention. He's 6'10", elite mid range, great pull up three. He has a good enough handle to create his own shot. We saw that in the numbers, 5.4 assists in 2017 or something like that. So you can tell me that KD's one spot? Not really, because he gets to a spot so easily. I mean, you don't bother his shot. That's why he's so efficient. He takes tough shots, but they go in.
Okay, you're right. He definitely can get to his spot, but it's like when you have Steph on your team, you don't got to really worry about having to get to your spot because you're already at your spot. Because Steph already got probably your defender on the other side, double team. You got Clay in the corner, and then you got Iggy in the corner, and then you got Dre in the middle. So that's a great passer giving you the ball. There's so much space, and I mean, you got to be good at some point. Like you even got to be KD to do what KD did on that team.
I agree. I don't. I believe they still win that year with any other, all-star type win. If they had like a 2022 Wiggins on that team, I still think they win because why? The defensive impact. I think KD guarding LeBron, he didn't stop LeBron. Nobody can do that, but he was just able to slow him down just a little bit while being so efficient offensively.
I can see that, but I feel like even if he didn't slow down LeBron, like LeBron could have did 2018 LeBron, and they still would have lost regardless because that team is just ridiculous without the defense that you're talking
Right.
about.
Right.
So I don't feel
I
like
agree.
defense is what we should be talking about because like it's Steph Curry. Like comparing a 6'11" wing to a 6'3" guard, I mean, there's going to be differences in defense.
Right. And they both get guarded differently. Steph, we saw this when KD was hurt. We saw it in 2019. Toronto, they trapped him. They gave him a lot of zone looks, a lot of shades, made him go right a lot. He doesn't like a lot of right-handed pull-ups. Makes him hard. It makes it hard for him because he's smaller. But I believe that, if you insert KD on that team, he's the greatest plug-and-play player with I think we've ever seen. So I believe that if he's healthy, they win that series. That's why, to me, I think when he went down versus Houston, I think, Steph took over in the conference finals, but the finals, he wasn't as efficient as he normally is, getting guarded 5 guys versus one.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So would you say like from 2017 to like 2022 range, KD was still at his peak?
Probably, yeah.
Probably.
Those Warriors years, and then probably those last 2 years with the Nets. Being able to do everything. Playmaking, being able to defend. At his highest level, being able to rim protect. Shoot the ball like he does. Of course.
He got clamped up by Boston in the first round.
Hey, everybody has those moments. What happened to 2016 Steph 3-1 lead? I mean, what happened to Klay Thompson in the finals in 2022? He shot terrible.
Hey,
Like it
that's Clay.
happens.
That ain't Steph. That ain't Steph. That ain't Steph.
That's true. And Klay is great. And you
I'm
got to
just saying.
mention, the Celtics, they played a great defense, man. They had a lot of bodies that they threw at KD and Kyrie that series. A lot of systematic, you know, ways that they got off. KD and Kyrie went off for one game and it was kind of it. But I think Boston just had a better team.
I mean, I agree. For sure, I agree. But I just think if we're going to talk about peak and what you can do in your peak, Steph can
Right.
carry his team farther, as we saw literally this year. We saw Steph carry that offense. So, yeah.
I do believe. Now, see, to me, what you just said, we could have flipped it. I think this is the best version of Steph Curry. Right here. 2022, 2023, these last 2 years. If you look at his scoring, it's as high as it's ever been since 2016, like 29.4 the last 2 years or something like that. His efficiency is the same. He's always going to be efficient. Nobody can stop that. And I think his defense has been at his best. As a team defender, as an isolation defender. We saw it in the conference finals versus the Mavs last year, or the year before.
Yeah.
And I think he struggled in games 4 and 5 against the Lakers, but I don't take 1 or 2 games as a struggle and go, he didn't play well. He had a 31-point triple double. He had a 40-point game in the first 50-point game 7. I think this is the best version of Steph in terms of what you're talking about and carrying and being able to do everything for your team.
I agree. Because I feel like, if we're going to talk about peak, like peak is like 5-6 years. Once you turn like 26, 25, that's when you start really getting to your own lane. So when you talk about KD, that's like 2014 to now, if you want to say. Then you got Steph, 2016 to now. And so when you look at it from that perspective, you see the success Steph had compared to KD. It's comparable, but Steph definitely has the edge with the MVPs and the championship.
Now, all right, I'll give you the MVPs. That's right, 2-1. But here's the thing. Some of those championships came by who? They were on the same team, and they won. And who was the Finals MVP? Right. So then,
but if you at your peak, why you got to go to another player at his peak to get that championship?
All right. So here's what I'll say to that. If you're at your peak, I don't expect you to win by yourself. That's just not possible. I mean, he had Russ. Russ was okay. Russ was great in moments, But I think when you have KD on your team, I think he's more dangerous of a player because you can plug him in on literally any team in the league. Put him on the worst team in the league, and I think they still have a chance to make the playoffs. I'm not sure if I can say that about Steph, and I love Steph. I think he's a great player, but I just don't know if his overall impact is enough to carry a team that's not quite as good.
2021 rings a bell.
It does, and I understand that he missed 9 straight games, and they were 1-8 in those games, but they didn't make the playoffs, unfortunately. I understand that he was going crazy, that April after 48 game, but I just don't think that if you put Steph on a team by himself, because see, I never like to put a player by himself. I just think that's unfair overall because if you want to say carrying by themselves, you can look at 2007 LeBron James.
Yeah. But I mean, LeBron is on a different level than these two. That's not even like fair to them.
That's true.
That
I'll
was
give you
different.
that. That's true.
Yeah. But like, when have you seen KD carry a trash team, quote unquote?
Like trash team. I don't think he's ever had a trash team.
Okay, what
I
about
just
like
think
average, below average?
all right. So below average team that he's been on.
Mm-hmm.
He's been on a few. I think I think a lot of people overrate that 2016 team when they beat the Spurs in the second round. They blew the 3-1 lead because they had KD, they had Russ, they had a blocker. He was a nice, shot blocker. But who else was on that team offensively? The spacing was horrific. You have Andre Roberson, who can't shoot. You have Jeremy Lamb, who takes bad shots. He's inefficient. You have an old Derek Fisher who can't get a shot off. They didn't have a lot. Anthony Morrow, I think, was on that team or something like that. They didn't have great wings outside of Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook were their two main players. And I think
Yeah,
their spacing, I think that's what really messed them up. Russ is not a great shooter himself. And when you only have one guy that can shoot 40% from three out of your entire 10 or 11 man playoff roster, that's not going to get it done against a team that has three or four of them.
okay. I see that. But like that team, if you look at rebounding, that's the greatest, literally, rebounding team of all time. They had Steven Adams and this Cantor. I mean, that team could rebound the heck out of basketball. That's why
You ever
they
heard of the
had
1995 Spurs? David Robinson, Dennis Rodman, those guys, they were pretty good rebounders too. I wouldn't say that the Thunder were the greatest rebounding team of all time,
I'm talking
but I'd
stats.
say
I'm
that they're
talking
probably
pure stats. Like stats
all
wise.
right. So
They
they had the
were.
most total rebounds in what, a playoff series, or like what you
The
talking about here?
season, they efficiency of rebounding, offensive defenses, they were the best.
Okay, okay. Now, would that also pertain to the way that they play? The style of game is. You shoot more threes, longer rebounds. Guards get more rebounds, help your total rebounding average.
I mean, you
Russell
need Russ to
Westbrook,
get rebounds.
Russell Westbrook averages 8 rebounds a game. But that's also not only due to his ferociousness and his athleticism, but because a lot of people take a lot more jump shots and he goes in there and go gets it.
But it helps the offense since you're saying that they don't have good spacing. Their fast break offense is one of the best because Russell Westbrook's the fastest player in the league. That's easy points every time.
All right, I'll give you that. Russ back then was the fastest player in the league. I got that. That's fair. That's a good point, man.
So regardless if that team didn't have good spacing, if you're 3-1 on the best team in the league, all you gotta do is close it out. Like all you gotta do is close it out. Because like you're saying, Steph Curry cannot guard. When 2016, Steph Curry cannot guard. So if you're guarding Russell Westbrook, 6'3", 200 pounds, straight muscle, there's nothing you can do about that.
I agree. I think that was part of the problem. I think early on, Steph had a difficult time staying in front of Russell. That's why they fell down 3-1.
So
I
KD should
think
have won
that's
that series, is what I'm saying.
you can say that, but like I said, I don't pin it against one player. But since we're talking about one player, I think KD, yes, he blew it in 2016, but it wasn't all his fault.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because you can say I don't pin Curry the next series all his fault. So it's happened, but yeah, if you ask me, I think in terms of one peak, 1 years, I'm gonna take Kevin overall. I just think because size in a player matters to me, and he's 6'10" and can shoot like that. I gotta have him on my team.
Okay. I just think that Steph Curry's impact at 6'3", I mean, that negates him being 6'10". I mean, I don't really think he will need that to be any better than he is right now. Because when you think about it, he might have to change his whole perspective of basketball if he was 16.
Well, do you? KD plays like a guard himself. He's got the skill set. I mean, we look at other players that are taller, that have big skill sets. Paul George, for instance, he's
Mm-hmm.
6'8". He plays guard. Why? Because he's got the skill set. I don't think your size, in terms of how you play, matters unless you're like a 7-footer who just can't shoot. But if you're a regular perimeter player, like 1 through 4, 6'10", I think you can play anywhere nowadays. The way the spacing in the league is, the 3-point attempts per game, the efficiency on the shot. I think if you are really like that, you can play anywhere.
I agree, but it's like when Paul George first came in the league, he could not shoot to save his life. It's like when he tore up his knee, that's when he said, "Okay, I got to be able to shoot because I can't jump out the gym no more. My leg is like out of there right now."
Yeah, I remember that. He hurt himself. He got better as a player. That's true. He did change his game. He changed his game. That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, Steph Curry, Steph Curry, him. That's all I got to say. He's him.
All right, man.
Ooh, that was a good debate.
Aiden, please say something.
Oh my mom, bro, that was a really good debate. I honestly liked it. I think it's really good because Steph, that good shooter, top 10 of all time.
He is. That's true.
That is very true.
JV, you did get one thing wrong though.
What?
It's Ennis Freedom. It is not Ennis Cantor.
At the time, his name was Ennis Cantor.
Nah, we got to do it like that. And it's freedom.
Ennis Freedom.
Goofiest name I think I've ever heard.
Oh yeah.
I don't know who I picked to win that debate. That was a great debate.
We should let the fans decide.
Aiden, we
Our,
don't
our,
have
seven,
17,
our 17 followers.
our 17 followers.
Majority vote.
Oh my gosh.
I vote for the one that can cook. Chef Curry himself.
Jeff Curry himself.
Eduardo, how you feel about this? Who you picking?
I think Bobby won the debate, but it was really close.
Mm. I can see that.